Let's go back to Arizona now for the latest in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Right now, the Pima County Sheriff's Department, assisted by the FBI's evidence response team, is conducting a court-authorized search of a location in Rio Rico, Arizona. The search is expected to take several hours. Earlier, the Sheriff's Department said it detained a person during a traffic stop south of Tucson, and the person has been questioned in connection with the Guthrie investigation. This morning, law enforcement released images of a potential subject in the case showing a masked person, appeared to be a man, outside Guthrie's Arizona home 2 Saturday nights ago. NBC Now investigative correspondent Mark Santia is still with us. Mark, give us an update. What have you learned?
Yeah, we are at the scene right now. You can see behind me. The sheriffs
Mark,
are here. They've blocked off the street.
Mark, I need you to speak up.
They can't hear us yet. Can you hear me now? Are you able to hear us now? You can see behind me, the sheriffs are here. They've blocked off this street. You're good, you have us. So they've blocked off the street. The investigation is happening down here in Rio Rico, Arizona. We're about 15 minutes north of the border, about an hour and a half south of Tucson. That's where Nancy Guthrie lives. We have confirmed that the Pima County Sheriff's Department, assisted by the FBI, as you're looking behind me here, the Pima County Sheriff's Department, assisted by the FBI's evidence response team, they are conducting, right now, they are conducting a court-authorized search of a location down the street here in Rio Rico, Arizona. Now, this area is the same area where hours ago, police say a man was detained during a traffic stop here in Rio Rico, Arizona. That man is currently being questioned in connection to Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Again, the person is being detained and being questioned. Very important. Police are not calling this person a suspect, and we don't know if the person who's detained. Yes. Yes.
I'm going to need you. I'm going to need you to speak up. I can see that you're speaking, but it's very low. So you have to. Can you speak louder?
It's low. Can you bring up the audio? Yep. We can try. Absolutely. Is there another way? Can you bring up the audio? Stephanie's having a difficult time hearing us.
That's better. That's better.
Is this better? Then I'll just speak up. So, okay, you got it. So we don't know. The person who's being detained and being questioned, police are not calling that person a suspect at this point. He's not a suspect. We're told he's being detained. He's being questioned. We don't know if the person detained is the same person who was in that new video that was released today from Nancy Guthrie's doorbell camera. We don't know that. What we do know, though, is there is an active search. There's a search warrant happening down the street here in Arizona, Rio Rico, Arizona. We know that it's a court-authorized search. We know this could take hours as they begin processing the scene. We're also told that the car, the vehicle, is a short distance from here. It's not been towed away yet. We're told that vehicle belongs to a family member of the person who is detained, and this investigation is still unfolding. We're told this could take hours, but the big question that has no answer at this point, where is Nancy Guthrie? We still don't know that at this point. We know there's a big break in the case. A person has been detained. That person is being questioned. You see this is an active scene behind me. Police have blocked off this neighborhood as investigators from the FBI, from Pima County, from the Border Patrol are all working together to try and find Nancy Guthrie. Stephanie, back to you.
Mark, thank you so much. We'll be right back. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is now facing growing calls to resign following revelations about his contact with Jeffrey Epstein. In an interview last year, Lutnick said that after Jeffrey Epstein had him and his wife over to his New York City home back in 2005, he decided to never be in a room with him again because Epstein was, in Lutnick's words, gross. Today, Lutnick was grilled during a Senate hearing about his emails in the Epstein files and told a very different story.
Did you, in fact, make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it, but we did.
So Lutnick says that the visit with his children happened in 2012. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty to soliciting prostitution from a minor in Florida in 2008. We should note, there are no accusations or any proof of any wrongdoing on Lutnick's part. Today, White House Press Secretary Caroline Levin made it clear, for now, they are standing behind their guy.
Secretary Lutnick today was testifying on the Hill, and he said that he had visited Epstein's Island in 2012 with his wife and children, and that's after he said that he had cut ties with Epstein. And Justice Department documents show that he was in contact with Epstein through 2018 over messages. So does the White House stand behind Secretary Lutnick right now, or given what he has said today, has there been any shift in how the White House is viewing Secretary Lutnick's performance?
No, Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary.
And it's not just the White House. Speaker Mike Johnson said calls for Lutnick to resign over this are absurd. Also today, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna went on the House floor and identified 6 wealthy, powerful men whose names had been redacted by the DOJ in the Epstein files. Khanna did not provide evidence of wrongdoing by any of them. And in an interview with Axios, Congressman Jamie Raskin said that when he searched the unredacted files for Donald Trump's name, it came up more than 1 million times. Joining me now, Lisa Rubin, our MSNOW senior legal reporter. Okay, Lisa, no one is saying that Howard Lutnick did anything wrong. However, he is the Commerce Secretary. He has one of the most important jobs in the federal government. And he notably publicly lied less than 6 months ago. On record said Epstein was disgusting. I severed ties since 2005, wanted absolutely nothing to do with him. And then we learned, except in 2012, when he went to his island and had lunch with his wife and kids and friends. Is that not reason enough? Yes, it's not illegal, but for Congress or the American people say someone who misrepresents himself and his ties to one of the most notorious convicted sex offenders in modern history, that's a problem for the American people.
I think it's reasonable stuff for folks to ask if Howard Lutnick weren't truthful about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, what else is he not being truthful about? It's not the story itself that's so damning, although certainly Howard Lutnick had an opportunity to talk about his association with Jeffrey Epstein in a way that might have been cognizable to people. Look, the men live next door to each other. Howard Lutnick was on a podcast saying that one of them lived at 9 East 71st Street, the other lived in 11th East 71st. And so the fact that they were next door neighbors may have allowed Howard Lutnick to say, I've gotten to know the guy, I understand that he has a past, and notwithstanding that, my wife and I felt comfortable socializing with him on his island, even with our children in tow. But that's not what he said. In his testimony today, he didn't even acknowledge that Epstein was part of the lunch. And MSNOW, from our own review of the Epstein files, I can tell you that not only are there emails where Howard Lutnick and his wife are arranging that visit that he spoke of today, but there's a response from Jeffrey Epstein the following day saying, it was nice to see you. It's reasonable to conclude that Jeffrey Epstein was part of the lunch that was held on the island, and yet Howard Lutnick was less than contrite today and certainly less than honest well before today.
He also, when Chris Van Hollen then said, okay, can we get a copy from your end of all of your correspondence during that time period, he did not definitively say yes. I believe he said that's something to think about. Attorney General Pam Bondi is no doubt going to face serious questions on the files and the DOJ from Congress tomorrow. But should we expect any kind of accountability for anyone in these files? Just this Lutnick situation alone shows the extensive connections this man had in the most powerful circles after he was convicted.
It's a hard question to answer because certainly we're seeing different things evolve depending on what side of the pond you live in. Keir Starmer, for example, is facing calls for his own resignation based on his appointment of a gentleman named Peter Mandelson, who was Epstein's very close friend for many years and may have stolen documents that he shared with Epstein belatedly. And at the same time, on this coast, the accusations with respect to Howard Lutnick's association with Epstein, as you said, don't seem to be sticking. Where Pam Bondi is concerned, though, I think the accountability has to start with how these files were even produced in the first place. You and I spent some time together last week talking about the redactions in the files and how they present sort of a Goldilocks problem, right? They're under-inclusive on one hand in the sense that they don't sufficiently protect the survivors who feel like it was done purposefully to intimidate them. And on the other hand, there are over-redactions with respect to powerful men, 6 of whom Ro Khanna discovered in the files and named on the floor of the House today. Those are the kinds of explanations I want to hear from Pam Bondi first, before we even get to the question of whether anybody should have criminal accountability for their actions here, Steph.
Well, we all want answers. Lisa, thank you for joining me tonight. We're going to take a quick break and come back with an update on the Nancy Guthrie case right after this. A quick update before we sign off tonight. We are closely following the investigation into Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Here's what we know at this late hour. The Pima County Sheriff's Department, with the help from the FBI's evidence response team, is conducting a court-authorized search of a location in Rio Rico, Arizona. The search is expected to take several hours. Earlier this evening, the Sheriff's Department said it detained a person during a traffic stop just south of Tucson, and that person has been questioned in connection to the Guthrie investigation. This morning,